Hey, what's up, everyone? I am here today with two of my most boring handguns. I like them quite a bit. They both work really well. As a matter of fact, I've done videos on both of them. It's my regular Glock 27, which I've put a 9mm barrel in, and my Ruger SR 1911, which is stock, just the way it was put out there. Um, now, I have a carry permit, so I do carry firearms. By the way, these have all been safety checked. No mags are in there, so everything's fine and well and good and safe. Um, Before I get started, I want to tell you I have absolutely no legal training. I have no law school classes under my belt, nothing. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, just a guy who likes handguns. Um, as you can tell, I kind of call them my boring guns because there's a lot of stuff you can do with 1911s and Glocks, especially. I mean, there's whole businesses that have popped up where they specialize in making fancy schmancy Glock stuff. And, I can understand buying some of that stuff, but I would stay away from the stupid stuff. Um, Especially if you're going to put the stupid stuff on a carry gun. Now, if you're going to put stupid stuff on a range toy, well, to each his own. If you're going to put stupid stuff on a carry gun, I think you need to be really careful. I remember, well, you know what? Let me start off with something else. If you are ever in the situation where you need to defend yourself or your family, and you need to present your handgun, you're going to have the prosecutor trying to make it seem like you're some loose cannon who just wants you to shoot somebody. Now that's probably not true. You just want to defend yourself and your family or friends, and that's all you're doing. But you get some liberal DA, and they're going to make it seem like you're some loose cannon, you're a vigilante, you're trying to hurt some poor criminal who's just getting his life together. Now, if you end up, getting something like this, they're gonna show it in the courtroom, and take a look at it and stuff. Now, look at my boring Glock. It's a boring with the Glock, with the exception of the barrel change. I mean, oops, there you go. It's boring. Okay. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen them, but you see these rear covers here, you can change those out. I just have the plain stock black one. And I know some people put like the American flag on there. Sometimes they might put a Bible passage, something like that. To each his own. But I've seen some really, really stupid one, like smile and wait for flash. Like that's really, really dumb. Now, imagine if you take this to the jury and that they're kind of thinking, gee, I don't know, is this guy kind of crazy, or is he really defending his family? And then they just see a stock black thing. It's not going to make a difference to them. If they see an American flag image or a biblical passage, it's probably not going to make a difference to them. If they see that you have a thing on there that says smile and wait for flash, or a Punisher logo, they're going to think, okay, this guy was just kind of itching to shoot somebody, or maybe this guy is kind of violent, or maybe he doesn't take taking someone's life as a serious matter that should only be done in the most extreme circumstances, because you're having either cartoons like the Punisher on there, or you're putting things like smile and wait for flash. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. I don't understand why someone would do something like that. Same thing with the grips. I see a lot of people put specialized grips on. Now, I was pretty lucky that I really like these grips. They're nicely they're nicely checkered. You know, they kind of have like the flatter diamond-like edge thing in there, and they have the Ruger emblem. So I actually like them quite a bit. And if something like this wasn't in there, I could definitely see myself putting something like that in there. But there were a lot of options. A lot of people put like G10 grips on there, or maybe a different kind of wood, and I could totally understand that. What I can't understand is when people put cartoon characters on their grip, like the Punisher, or if you got some kind of like violent or weird saying on there. If you had some type of a situation, and I hope this never happens to you or me or any of us, but where you had to use your firearm for self preservation in like a last ditch effort, do you really want to have that gun brought into the jury where it has a Punisher logo on it, and then, like, let's say, smile and wait for flash? Wow, you're good. You're not going to look good. I remember there was a case um, there was a case where there was this guy. He was an exterminator, and he had like a little get together in his hotel room, uh, and he had an air rifle with him. That's all it was, just an air rifle. I think it was like a 177 air rifle, so not a firearm. He's in his hotel room. Somebody sees him on the patio with his air rifle. He had been drinking a little bit, so they called the police. There were a few police officers there. One of the police officers had an AR-15. It was his personal AR-15 that he used for duty, and he ended up having this guy lay on the floor. So the guy was laying on the floor, and he kept telling them like all these different commands that were a bit confusing. And he had this AR-15, and the dust cover I forget the exact wording, but it was something like, smile and wait for flash. Now, this is a professional with a gun that's used for duty, and he has that popping up for him. Now, you have some people saying, hey, this cop was, acting within his rights. He was doing what he had to do. He felt threatened. Then you had other people saying, the cop wasn't acting appropriately. This guy was already incapacitated, could have laying on the floor, unarmed, and could have very easily been handcuffed in his current position. Now, don't think that didn't play a role in this whole argument, because, I mean, obviously it came up. This is something that happened in a different state from me, 2,000 miles away. And it was actually about 3 or 4 years ago, before all the current police situations have really hit the headlines, and I knew about it. So you really don't want to do that kind of stuff. Like I said, if you have multiple handguns and you do that to kind of a range toy, like let's say you got something that you only like to shoot at the range, okay? You wouldn't carry it. I guess I can understand that, but putting it on a carry gun, it's just opening you up to this stuff. Kind of like when people would buy the RIP ammunition. I think it was something, I don't know if you remember that, but it was a hollow point projectile, and it was kind of would open up like 8 jagged flower petals when it hit something. Now, it looked like very effective ammunition. I'm not going to say it wasn't. And the testing I saw looked pretty on YouTube. If you want to check it out, RIP ammunition, I guess you could search for that. It seemed very effective. But on the box, it says RIP. And when people think RIP, they're thinking rest in peace. And that's kind of what they were playing off on. That's another thing. I wouldn't want to use that. I'd rather just use hollow points that I could pick up at, any old store. Just regular off-the-shelf ammo, nice and plain. So if they see the box, it's just regular, like, Remington or Federal ammunition. I don't want people looking at that kind of stuff. Same thing when people buy ammunition with zombies on it and stuff. You're not presenting yourself as a serious person. And I just kind of like, if you haven't been thinking that, I'd like you to think about that and kind of keep like the stuff you use for carry, maybe not as much fun or as whimsical as some of your other stuff, because I wouldn't want to have someone affected by some of those decisions. Kind of keep everything plain and stock and whatnot. And again, I am not an attorney. I am not anyone who professes to have any knowledge of the law, but I'm kind of trying to think of things that I've seen in the past, and um, how they present things to the juries, and how they try and frame people in ways that really might not bear um, any semblance of how they really are. So just want to give you a little something to think about. I hope it kind of makes you think, and maybe you'll rethink some of the things you do, for good, bad, or otherwise. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please consider sharing it. Like it if you liked it. Hey, if you don't like it too. And please subscribe. I do appreciate that. Have a good one.